How do you feel?
I'm Phil. Good. I'm very Phil.
How you feel?
I'm Phil. I'm very Phil.
How do you feel?
I'm Phil. I'm very Phil.
You feel?
Yes, I'm Phil. I'm very, very Phil.
Okay, heroes and adventurers, so by now we all know that Starfield has been delayed till the first quarter of 2023. Yeah, it is kind of depressing, but you know what? If the game needs more time, it needs more time, right? It doesn't upset me that Starfield got delayed. What aggravates me is that Starfield got delayed within the greater context of Bethesda Game Studios, and specifically how fucking long it takes to get a new game from them. We're talking geologic time. And I have little doubt that Starfield being delayed can only mean it will take longer to get the Elderscrolls 6. Don't even talk to me about Fallout 5. Talk about crazy timing. I finished this video yesterday, right before the news broke about the Starfield delay. So I pulled it down to add this part and put my thoughts in on the situation. But just dumb luck, everything in the video is incredibly timely. It's exactly how I still feel about Bethesda and their games today, post-delay. Maybe just add a notch or two of frustration and aggravation to my comments. If you feel like you want to subscribe to my channel, subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe, subscribe. Just subscribe. It feels good. Welcome, heroes and adventurers. I am the Ancient Gamer. Today, I'm going to ask the question, is Bethesda Game Studios taking too long to release the Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5? To look at it another way, is 15 years too much time between games for a major IPs like Fallout and the Elder Scrolls? Make sure to leave a comment. Let yourself be heard. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions too. Before we tackle those questions and others, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the Ancient Gamer channel. It feels good. I'm really pushing to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Ring the bell to never miss new content, and if you enjoy this video, make it happy. Give it a like. It really helps. Right off the top, I'd like to make a few things clear. I love the games Bethesda makes. I'm a giant fan, a massive fan. Todd Howard and company have made some of my favorite games of all time, and I'm grateful. Bethesda is Bethesda. I do not want, nor am I saying that I want them, to turn into the RPG equivalent of EA Sports, releasing Skyrim 21, Skyrim 22, Fallout 23. I know the Elder Scrolls and Fallout IPs are not Battlefield or Call of Duty, and who the hell would want that anyway? Let's be clear. If it's a choice between waiting 15 years for a great game or getting a shitty, flawed-ass game quicker, I'll wait the 15 years. I love the games Bethesda makes, but I'm going to bitch a little about 15 years. I also want to put it on the record that I'm not advocating for crunch. I don't think developers should have to crunch to get games out faster. Hell, beyond the gaming industry, I don't want to see the folks working at the grocery store or the kids working at Burger King having to crunch. I don't like to crunch. Crunch sucks. I also get that games take longer to make today than they did 10 or 15 years ago. They're more expensive, they require more people, and they're more technologically advanced. Those are huge factors too, obviously. Really great games, especially RPGs, take time, and I get that. But 15 years? 4 years, 5 years, 6, even 7 or 8. But 15? Holy shit. 15 years is a chunk of fucking time. It's a long ass time. 15 years is a significant piece of your life. Now, because we're right in the middle of this epic marathon wait for the Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5, or really anything Bethesda Game Studios related, it's easy to lose perspective on just how much time 15 years is. Because, honestly, Skyrim is starting to get to be an older game, but it doesn't feel like it released like an eon ago or anything. It wasn't that far back, or at least it doesn't feel like it. And 2025, 2026 feels almost like it's right around the corner. So you don't really grasp just how long 15 years is. So to put it in perspective, how long is 15 years? Well, think about it like this, okay? 15 years is kind of like the difference between trying to get your first kiss and buying your first house. 15 years is a little bit like the distance between Woodstock and Purple Rain. Okay? I mean, think about, imagine you go to see Star Wars, okay? And it's an amazing movie. Your life has changed forever. You walk out of the theater just buzzing, you're all high. And then Empire Strikes Back comes out in 1992, 15 years later. That would really harsh your mellow, okay? 15 years is like the difference between Devo and fucking Pearl Jam. It's a long ass time. Another way you can look at it is, let's say Skyrim comes out in 2011 and you're 30 years old. Okay? How different are you going to be in 15 years when you're 45 and the Elderscrolls 6 comes out? Or, you really want to talk about getting screwed? What if you're one of those, rare but incredibly awesome, 75-year-old gamers or gaming enthusiasts out there, and Skyrim comes out in, 2011 and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best game I've ever played. And then you have to wait until you're fucking 90 to play the Elder Scrolls 6, okay? That's how long 15 years is. It's a serious chunk of time. So the answer to the question, is 15 years too long? Yes, of course it's too long. It's way too long. And you know who knows that? I guarantee you Todd Howard and Pete Hines, they know that. They're well aware of that. Okay? If you were like pals, if you could ask them privately, hey Todd, hey Pete, is 15 years too long in between games? They'd be like, fuck yeah, of course it's too long. They will never admit that publicly. They'll never go to the press and say, you know what? Yeah, 15 years fucking sucks. It really blows. They're never going to own up to that or admit it, but privately they're well aware of that. This is not optimal, and they'd be probably the first to tell you that. Privately. Publicly, we'll hear, the story we wanted to tell is so big, the game we wanted to make, we need the technology to catch up to what we want to do. Some of that is probably true, but I'm still going to call bullshit. So, what's causing these epic gaps between Elder Scrolls and Fallout games? Obviously, I'm not an insider, so I don't know for sure, but I have some ideas. One is BGS's release schedule and how it's changed since Fallout 4. Two other factors are games, Fallout 76 and Starfield. First, let's get a bigger picture view of Bethesda Game Studios' release timeline and see if I can point out a pattern I noticed. We'll start the timeline in 2002 with the release of Morrowind. Morrowind was the game where the Elder Scrolls really became the Elder Scrolls as we know them today. It's also the game that made Bethesda what it is today. BGS followed up Morrowind with Oblivion 4 years after that, and then 5 years down the road we get Skyrim. And you don't need me to tell you how successful Skyrim has been for Bethesda. But of course they were also making Fallout games, and they'd picked up the IP for Fallout, and in 2008 we get Fallout 3, only 2 years after Oblivion. 7 years down the road we get Fallout 4, another big hit. We're also going to count Fallout New Vegas, even though Obsidian made it, because it was Bethesda that contracted them to do so. That's 3 Elder Scrolls games in 9 years, 3 Fallout games in 7 years, 6 games in 13 years, 5 made by BGS. What struck me when I look at this wasn't just that they released more games during this first period in the timeline, but it was that Bethesda seemed to be more in touch with their fans and what they actually wanted. All 6 of those games were games Bethesda fans wanted badly, games we were asking for, games we were really hoping they would make. If you look at the timeline from 2015 on, you'll see that this is no longer the case, at least not as much. Fallout 76, aside from being a complete fucking disaster at launch, an utter shit show, was a game that virtually no one, other than maybe the suits at ZeniMax, was asking for. If you were to time travel back to 2018 and ask 100 fans of Bethesda's games, what games do you want next from Bethesda Game Studios? You would hear a lot of, give us Elder Scrolls 6, how about Fallout 5, and a remaster of Fallout 3 and or New Vegas would have been quite popular also. No one, I repeat, no one would have said, geez, I really want a Fallout MMO. A games as a service version of Fallout, please. Please give me that. No one would have said that. Which brings us to Starfield. Now, Starfield is different than Fallout 76 in that at least it'll be a single-player Bethesda RPG. And I am excited for Starfield. As it gets closer to release, I will get even more psyched for it. I'm hoping for the best from Starfield, and I have a gut feeling that it will at least be a really good game. Hell, the Mass Effect games are probably my favorite games of all time. I definitely have room in my life for another awesome sci-fi space opera masterpiece RPG. If Starfield is great, I will be making a fucking ton of Starfield videos, covering the shit out of it. But my point is that I wasn't asking for Starfield, and neither were most of the rest of you. Another factor that might be at play could be as simple as some performance anxiety and just plain overthinking it on Bethesda's part. I mean, how would you like to be the developer that followed up Skyrim? That's some pressure. No matter how great Elderscrolls 6 is, can it ever be good enough to live up to expectations? Probably not. Imagine being a stand-up comedian and just before you go up and grab the mic, you get word that George fucking Carlin has risen from the dead and wants to go up and do a tight 10 right before you. Who the hell wants to follow a reincarnated George Carlin? Skyrim is an almost impossible act to follow. So far, we have established that Bethesda Game Studios is making games in geologic time, and I've offered a few guesses as to why. But are we stuck with this? A 15-year, major chunk of your life cycle between Elderscrolls and Fallout games going forward? And throw in Starfield too if it's a hit. Games that release faster than a speeding glacier? No, I don't think we are. And I don't think we are because I don't think this is in anybody's best interests. Not Bethesda's, or those of us who love their games, or maybe most importantly, Microsoft's, who just bought Bethesda. I mean, think about it. Can you see Phil Spencer walking into the offices for a meet and greet after the Bethesda purchase was final and saying, "Hey Todd, Pete, yeah, that 15-year wait between Elder Scrolls games? Fucking love it. Brilliant. Hey, if Starfield's a big hit, can we wait 15 years to drop a sequel on that too? Why not stretch it to 20? No way. That would be ridiculous. Look, Phil Spencer is going to be fucking retired in 20 years, living in whatever island nation he decides to purchase. Laid back, hands-off cool Phil does not want only one more Elder Scrolls or Fallout game during his tenure as the head of Xbox. That isn't why they bought Bethesda. Can you realistically imagine Sony allowing 15 fucking years to pass between God of War games? Horizon Zero Dawn? Not a chance. I don't expect Bethesda to ever become a game a year, sort of pounded out their studio. That's just not who they are, nor would I want them to become that. But I do think that, you know, this is what great CEOs do. They find ways to reorganize their studios, to reallocate, to restructure, to grow and hire more people. They find ways for their studio to work on more than one game at the same time and still be that studio and not have to change and become something else other than what they are. And I think that's important to Bethesda. I think it's important to them that they remain the company that they always have been. I think they feel like the quality of their games depends on that. But I think it's possible for them to work on more than one game at the same time. And I think that Todd Howard is probably a guy that can figure that out. And now he's got the resources to do that thanks to Microsoft buying Bethesda. I think this is all within the realm of the possible and probable. For example, look at Ubisoft. I know it's kind of an apples and oranges comparison. Ubisoft is a much bigger studio with bigger teams and they make different kinds of games. But the most recent 3 Assassin's Creed games, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, are remotely comparable to a game like Skyrim. They're action RPGs set in massive open worlds filled with side quests. And while these may not be games that define a generation like Bethesda's have, they are really, really good games. Huge games, 200 plus hours easy. I've played all the way through Odyssey and Valhalla and enjoyed the shit out of both of them, especially Odyssey. As a Skyrim junkie, Odyssey and Valhalla have been like Skyrim methadone for me. Not Skyrim, but curves the cravings. The game worlds and maps in these games are some of the best I've ever played on. Detailed, varied, incredibly well rendered, eye-popping graphics, huge cities and villages, battles, tons of NPCs. From a technical and graphical standpoint, these games far exceed Skyrim and do some things Todd Howard has said he wanted to be able to do in Skyrim but could not due to the technological limitations of the time. And here's the rub. AC Origins dropped in 2017, Odyssey in 2018, and Valhalla in 2020. It's 2022, and in 4 years we've gotten 3 terrific, huge games, plus DLC for all 3. And at the same time, Ubisoft delivers 2 Far Cry games, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Watch Dogs Legion, Division 2, and other games. Now, BSG is never going to match or come close to Ubisoft's incredible rate of production. It's ridiculous to even think so. Ubisoft is massive by comparison, but it isn't just about size. Hell, little tiny Obsidian Entertainment has been outproducing Bethesda Game Studios for a while now too. The point of this video is not to shit on Bethesda, or shit on Starfield, or even shit on Fallout 76, although that's a little more tempting. I've been a massive fan of Bethesda and the games they make for 20 plus years, and I am genuinely excited for Starfield. If the wait between games was even 10 years, I would not be making this video. But 15 years is a chunk of your life. At this rate, let's say you were born in 2011 and lived to be 90. You can expect to get 6, count them, 6 Elderscrolls games before you die in a whole fucking lifetime. One more time. I'm not advocating for crunch. I can't stand crunch. I don't want to see Bethesda rushed into releasing a shit game. I see what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. If it's a choice between waiting 15 years for a great game or getting a shitty half-assed broken game sooner, I'll wait the 15 years. But of course 15 years between games when you're talking about IPs like the Elder Scrolls and Fallout is way too fucking long. Once again, I am the Ancient Gamer, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you watch my video. Do it a big favor and click that like button. It's easy, and it really helps. Looking for more of a long-term commitment? Subscribe to the Ancient Gamer channel. It feels good. Ring the bell for notifications. That feels good too. Stay tuned. I'll be back soon with more stuff.